Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kikuyo. The title of today's talk is Society is a Shared Hallucination. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. In his text, Treatise on the Three Natures, Vasubandhu tells us that the world as we know it exists in three aspects. There is the imaginary nature, the dependent nature, and the pure nature. For the purposes of this talk, we'll be focusing on the imaginary nature. And to understand how it works, I simply need you to answer two questions. First, what color is my shirt? Now, if you grew up in an English-speaking country, you probably answered that my shirt is black, and that is correct, but that leads to my second question. Why is my shirt black? Why not green or orangutan? And the answer to that question, at least for me, is that when I was in kindergarten and I was learning my colors, the teacher pointed to this particular color, and when I said black, she said good job. And when I said something else, she said, no, try again. Thus, I and all the kids in my kindergarten class, and probably all the kids in all the kindergarten classes in America, learned that this particular color is black. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to understand that there is no inherent blackness to my shirt. It's black because we as a society have decided to call it black. Vasubandhu wants us to understand that this is a shared hallucination, a shared mental imputation that we have about this particular color. And these shared mental imputations make up our society as we know it. My shirt is black, my robe is blue, the thing I'm staring at right now is a laptop, etc. When we understand that our world is imaginary, which does not mean that it's not real, simply that it's an idea that comes from our mind, then we're able to investigate the world and decide which mental imputations are helpful and which mental imputations are harmful. Now, the fact is, living in society, there are some mental imputations, some parts of the hallucination of the world that we just have to take part in, whether we want to or not. Sure, I could tell people that my shirt is red, but if I do that enough times, it's probably going to cause a problem for me. Similarly, I could go to the grocery store and tell them that the US dollar is worthless because it's not based on the gold standard, but they're not going to allow me to buy food with something else. So there are some things that we just have to accept as par for the course, but there are other things that we need to investigate. And again, if they are harmful, we can turn away from them or try to use them in a more skillful manner. One example of this is social media, which is an illusion within an illusion. Many people engage with social media not understanding that it's imaginary, it's not real. That the numbers and pictures on the screen, the images we see, only have the meaning that we impute on them. Just because we see someone having photos of a fancy vacation doesn't mean that we have to have feelings about it. Just because username bunch of numbers says something impolite under our tweet, that doesn't mean that we have to allow it to ruin our day. I can give another example, and that has to deal with our own personal emotions. Oftentimes, when we think about our emotions, we think that they're permanent, that they're part of us, that we just have to deal with this because this is how we feel. In my own life, I grew up in a house where yelling and name-calling were accepted ways of solving problems. Then I joined the Marine Corps, and for the next 8 years, there was more yelling. So I honestly believed that yelling was an acceptable way to get through life. That's just how you got things done. It wasn't until I started practicing Buddhism that I realized that just because I'm angry, that doesn't mean I need to act on that anger. Just because I don't like someone, that doesn't mean I need to mistreat them. I can choose to act in a different way. I can opt out of the illusion. And lo and behold, when you don't yell at people and call them names, it ends suffering, not just for you, but for other people as well. When we understand that our life and the lives of all the people around us are imaginary, that they come from our minds, then we investigate all those imaginings. And for the ones that are not helpful, the ones that cause suffering for ourselves and others, well, we put those aside and we find a different way. Amitabha.